Let's go ahead and dive into today's program. I am thrilled to welcome Gary Erickson. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. Gary has served as a CIO for 3 different companies and launched an executive search firm. I really could not have found a better speaker to handle today's topic. So without further ado, let's jump into it, Gary, and please take it away for us.
Thank you, Megan, and thanks for asking me to do this. And for a format on this, if there's anything that I say during this that you want clarification on or you disagree with or whatever, please feel free to ask. What I'm going to do for the first 15 or 20 minutes is very quickly go through sort of a background on what it takes to be a CIO and how that compares to, say, a VP of operations or maybe a CTO, although what I've found is that the CTO position is defined differently in each company that I talk to. So some it includes applications, some it includes operations and infrastructure and security and not application. Anyway, so let me give you a really quick background on me. Executive Search Partners has been around for 21 years now. Wow. We've got 6 partners. We're very small. They're all former CIOs. We've been recognized by several publications as being good in our job. We've placed over 200 CIOs, CTOs, CISOs, and what I just learned yesterday is what people are calling C- candidates. So those people reporting to the C positions. My background is highly technical. I started as a machine level programmer. I have had roles in IT ranging from programming to operations. I was a CIO for 3 companies. I decided I didn't like that kind of job anymore. I founded a company called Great Lakes Technologies Group that did quite well for 6 years, sold that, and then got into the search business, which is a wonderful business to be in because I don't have to travel. I'm my own boss. I can't fire myself unless I want to. You know, it's a pretty good position. Let me get into first sort of, as I understand it, the subject is how do I transition out of operations into more IT leadership, such as a CIO position? That's the subject of this presentation. So I'd start with looking at where you want to be or where somebody wants to be. And the hiring manager for a CIO is going to be the president of a company. And the president of the company is really going to ask 3 questions of you. Can you run the railroad, which is operations, security, applications development, applications management? Do you have a track record of being able to lead new implementations? So somebody wants to put in a new ERP system. Have you done that before? Has it been successful? What have been the results? And finally, and this is critical, is your current company in the same or similar industry as ours? Because these days, presidents are only looking for experts in their industries. They rarely hire from outside their industry, especially since IT is considered to be so critical to the future success of the company. And what have you done to improve the operations of the company? Or I hate the word transform, but people use that word today. What have you done by using IT to help transform the business of the company? So that's what company presidents look for. When you come down to it, the bottom line, what they're really looking for is they don't care that much about the first 2. They really only care about what have you done to improve a company. If I hire you, can you help me reduce costs or increase sales in some way? Let's talk about each of those things, though, that they're looking for. The operations side of it, the VP of operations knows how to run the railroad. They can do operations, infrastructure, security, applications management, which is what I consider applying updates, basically. The additional skills, if you've been in that operations position, the difference between that and a CIO is the CIO typically has a lot of overall governance of IT, meaning budgeting and hiring and training and how you incentivize people, how you measure people, all the things around how do you run your organization. They're also very good at applications development. If I've got a particular applications in manufacturing or finance, do I know how to make additional improvements to that area working with the clients? And finally, the last one, that the additional skill to be a CIO is I'm calling it business transformation. So if you look at the VP of operations, I would say they have much of the experience in running the railroad. They know how to do budgeting, standards. This is the governance, IT and career development, and internal communication. So you probably got that kind of skill set already. The VP of Ops also has some application development experience that are required project management skills, but they probably don't have much Agile Scrum experience. Maybe they do as part of that group that's working on the operations side of any new implementation. Do they know process knowledge? This is the big one. What do you know about finance? What do you know about global financial operations? If somebody were to ask you a question about how would you improve cash flow in the organization, what levers would you suggest they push, and how could IT in their computer system say help them do that? Or if I wanted to improve customer engagement, what kind of systems and processes and tools would I put in place to do that? And then I just threw this other one in there. It's a self-driven development, which is an increasing thing that people are providing to the users so they can develop their own systems. If I'm a CIO, I'm not so sure I want people doing self-driven development, but there's a real trend in that area there. But when I went through all that background, running the railroad and doing applications development, the big one that the presidents look for is, do you know how to transform the business? And this is probably, you've all seen this, and I'm looking for acknowledgement or not. You're perceived as not having much experience in business transformation. I'm not talking about technology transformation. I'm not talking about cloud migration. I'm talking about, can you help me improve my manufacturing? Can you increase customer engagement? Can you reduce overall costs of the organization by applying IT tools and capabilities? For example, the latest word is artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, right? Process improvement, linkage of computer systems and processes and tools together that previously maybe haven't been linked together, so people don't have to duplicate data entry. So when we're talking about digital transformation, if you're looking to increase sales, you might look at analytics knowledge, and that's not building a large database. That's how do you apply that large database and the data that's in it to improving the company. Product development activities, customer linkages, intelligence in products, where you work with the product development people to link it back to maybe your service systems. How do you work with people to do that? Excuse me. And finally, how do you increase how you decrease costs through more efficient operations? And I mentioned some of these already. So the real missing experience that I think that most VP of Ops have is they maybe know a little bit about application development. They certainly know project management, but they may not know sort of how to do programming, as an example, or how to customize a package like SAP or Oracle. And they really are perceived as not having any experience in business transformation. So, gee, I went through that very, very quickly. So we're now in the discussion stage already, because I really meant that as a setup to this discussion. How does a VP of Ops gain the missing experience to be considered for a CIO position? Well, first, it's not easy, all right? If you spent your entire career doing computer operations and security and communications and that kind of technology, you're competing against people who maybe grew up in the application development side, people who really know the business inside and out from the business perspective. So how do you make it from here to there? And this is where I'd like to start getting into some discussion. Self-assessment. I just went through all of the items that I suggest that you need to know if you're going to transition to a CIO. First thing I do is say, okay, Gary's provided me with a list of the things that the president wants us to know. He's broken that down into some subsections. If I were to compare my background, where am I missing that kind of experience, right? And if you don't know the business of business, if you don't understand what manufacturing is about, if you don't understand why finance exists, if you don't know what marketing and sales are, if you're going to be a CIO, you need to learn that business. You know, an MBA helps. That's where I went from being a heads down technology guy to being somebody who understood the business, which then set me up for transitioning into more business process roles that eventually got me to a CIO position. You develop a plan. This is obvious stuff. I'm not pointing out to you anything you don't know, but, you know, develop a plan, work the plan, one of the things that helps when you're talking to somebody is once you've started working the plan, document your achievements. So if somebody says to you in an interview, have you ever done anything like this? You can remember, oh yes, I have. I've done something in that particular area. So document your achievements along the way, write them down and keep them. Maybe when you're working with your CIO, if you report to a CIO, maybe you can ask him for some applications development experience. You don't have much of that, but maybe he'll give you a slice of it. All right, so you can start getting that experience there. If you do that well, maybe you can then take on a broader set of responsibilities. And then finally, if you really want to present yourself as a CIO, the one title that seems to resonate with hiring managers, with recruiters like me, is if you have a title somewhere in your background, VP of Applications Development. So that's my quick summary.